Is like this thing on? Hello? Hey guys, welcome to Dobson Inc. This channel is all about gearhead madness, automotive mayhem, and having fun. My name's Ian. This is the first ever episode. I'm just a regular guy who has been a lifelong gearhead, and I like to build projects out of my home garage here. I am by no means a professional mechanic. It's not what I do for a living. It's just been a lifelong hobby. So for today, I'm going to show you the projects that you can look forward to as this channel progresses. I'm going to talk a little bit about each project, a little bit more about myself, and we'll see what we get into today. Welcome to Dobson Inc. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, let's start off today with, I'll show you my 72 Gran Torino Sport. She started life as a 400c6 car. Shortly after I got her, I converted her to a 429 with a 4-speed. Here's my 429 on the stand, ready to go. 4-volt main block. When I got this engine years ago, I punched it out 30 over. Bores are still in really good shape. Really, the whole reason I parked this car to begin with was it started developing a lifter would collapse if I took it up above 4,000 RPM. So I parked it to rebuild the top end, and I pulled the motor out, and then I figured I might as well redo the bottom end again too. I have forged aluminum flat top pistons, stock crank and connecting rods. This is going to be on the channel. We're going to put some goody go fast parts in here. As you can see, this is my home garage. Like I said, I'm just a regular dude, not a professional mechanic, but you know, I've picked up some tips and tricks over the years, and I've been doing this a good while. So if any of you more seasoned people out there see something I'm doing that's not quite right, go ahead and keep it to yourself. Or if you want to impart some knowledge on me, you know, go ahead and put her down in the comments and we can have a discussion, or I don't know, I'm always down to learn new things. So there's my 4-speed top loader. Engine bay, as you can see, needs a lot of work. We're going to go ahead and clean all this up, pretty up the wiring, hoses, all that good stuff. This car's in pretty good shape. I've done quite a bit of body work to it already. Built the rear end probably 10 years ago now, maybe less. It doesn't have many miles on it, but it's a Ford 9-inch, 31 spline Moser axles, rear disc brake conversion using the parts from a 79 Lincoln. It's got a spool unit, 350 tail gears. I'll show you guys the interior here. It's actually in really good shape except for the seat. It's the factory blue sport interior. As you can see, it's pretty clean. There's only a couple of cracks on the dash. Headliner's really nice. But yeah, this is my pride and joy. Most of the car and most of the parts I've had for it, I've actually traded for over the years. You know, of course, you have to spend money on some parts, but with all the other gearheads I know around, if I can beg, borrow, or steal, trade for parts and labor for other things I need, I'm all for that. So there's a lot of hours of blood, sweat, and tears into this car. And with this new motor, there's going to be a bunch more money into it too. So that's the 72 Gran Torino. That's going to be featured in a lengthy build series with building that motor, getting it dialed in, and hopefully going and doing some wicked burnouts and maybe some track time. We'll see. Alright, now on to my other project. Alright guys, here we are in my side yard. This is my other project coming up. This is my 83 Ford F-150 single cab short bed 4x4. It has the 4-speed NP 435 manual transmission and a 300 inline 6. This truck I got as an anniversary gift from my wife. So I used to have an 84 that I built years ago, but I had to sell it. So this truck's been sitting back here 4 or 5 years. I've tinkered on it a little bit. Haven't done too much. So this is going to be more of a budget. We're going to get her running and tuned up with as little as possible. We're going to throw some big meats and some new rims on it, suspension lift, and we're just going to go thrash it. This thing did come with factory dual tanks. It has 2 brand new gas tanks in it and a whole bunch of extra parts in the bed. So this should be a fun project. I kind of want to turn it into an overlanding rig, maybe eventually do some rock crawling. Who knows? We'll just figure it out. This is my wife's 69 Mustang. This probably, oh, hey look, there's my puppy. Hi Luna, say hi to YouTube. So this is my wife's 69 Mustang, darling. We'll see if she ends up on the channel or not. My wife's pretty particular about her car. She's a really gifted mechanic in her own right, so we'll see. So these are the projects you guys can look forward to on the channel. And I'll show you what we're going to get into today. Alright, so I showed you guys some of my projects, what to expect later on in the channel, what we're going to be getting into. Now it's time to show you what we're getting into today. This is my 2003 Honda Rancher 350 quad. She's not sexy, she ain't pretty, but she's a lot of fun. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be swapping out the carburetor. I know it's not glamorous. I know you guys would probably rather me see me deal with this big block or tidying up this engine compartment, get something going on this beast. But today what we're going to do is this, because I wanted to go riding a couple of weeks ago, and lo and behold, the carburetor started puking gas everywhere. And I want to go riding, so this is what we're going to do. Alright guys, so these are pretty simple to work on. Really, you know, the carburetors aren't really like a V8 or a car or anything. They're really just kind of held on with hose clamps. So we're going to start by opening up this air box here. We'll get the air filter out, get this air box out of the way, then we can get into swapping out the carb. That's important. If you're going to get an old quad like this, you really want to invest in these plastic clips that hold all your plastics together. You can get a whole bunch of them on Amazon for pretty cheap. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, if it's just puking gas, why don't you just take the carb apart, clean it, and maybe get a rebuild kit? Honestly guys, with these little motors, the carbs are so cheap if you go on Amazon. Like, it's not even worth it to mess with these things. Yeah, they're not perfect. It's not a Honda carburetor, but it's a Chinese knockoff. They work pretty good, and they're 35 bucks. So my advice, is it right or wrong? I don't know, but my advice is don't mess around with it. Just buy a new one. You know, these things aren't high dollar. This isn't like a cool muscle car, street bike, or a Harley. it's a quad, and you're gonna beat the crap out of it, especially where I live here in Arizona. You go out in the desert, you're gonna beat the crap out of this thing, but you're gonna have a really good time doing it. So just go cheap. Go cheap, have fun. If it breaks, whatever. Spend another 35 bucks and buy another one. Why is this thing fighting me? This mother... Come on! This is why I say invest in the plastic buttons, because you're going to break about 1 million of them. And you know, you don't have to take them all the way off if you're lazy like me. You just take a couple off, just enough so you can get to the hose clamp for your fuel line here. Pop that off, get that out of the way. And then literally it's just another hose clamp. Alright guys, so I got all the clamps loose. We should be able to pop this on out of here. Now, the throttle cable is still connected, but I wanted to get it loose so I could get this cover off a little easier. Because I don't like to bend over if I can avoid it, to be perfectly honest. Don't ask about the zip ties on the vacuum lines, anything like that. Like I said, I'm not a professional. May not do everything 100% correct, but I don't care. It's worked well for me. So that's it. There's one screw. There's a tab that locks it in on this bottom side. Comes right off. For this, cable fits in this little tab. My giant ape arms and fingers are huge, so sometimes it's a pain in the ass. So we got the cable disconnected from the linkage. There's a couple of nuts here that threads this into the body. I'm just going to loosen those up and then it'll pop right out. Alright guys, old carburetor's out. Oh, almost. There's this electronic hookup here. Alright guys, so I remembered, instead of loosening this, it's attached to a wire clip under this piece of plastic. So I just got to get the zip tie off of there, unplug it, unwrap it, and this carburetor's out. Alright guys, carburetor's out. It's unplugged, as you can see. Like I said, this is a cheapy carburetor from Amazon. The plug didn't exactly match off the carburetor to my wiring harness, so I displaced the old connector on. Let's go get the new carb and get it ready to install. Alright guys, so as I said, these are really simple, really cheap. All I did was I unbolted this wire fixture. I think that's the fuel heater, some kind of sensor. Forgive my ignorance. Anyways, I just transferred it over to this. This is the new carburetor. It's pretty much plug and play. I'm actually gonna get this installed now, so hang tight. Alright guys, welcome back. So the new carburetor's in, it's all hooked up. You're probably thinking, hey, why didn't you show us the install? Truth is, guys, the installation of this carburetor is the exact opposite of taking the old one out, and with my big monkey paws, there's a lot of fighting and cussing in these type spaces because I didn't want to take it apart enough, and I'm lazy. So let's get the air filter back in, this air box closed up, throw a battery in her, and turn the fuel on, check for leaks, and see if we can get it fired up. Yes, I'm aware I need a new air filter, but you know what? It's good enough for now. Like I said, this isn't a high dollar machine. I'm not trying to go crazy with this thing. It's just for fun and to beat it up. Alright. It's on. Alright, time to go get a battery. Alright guys, went and got the battery. It's been on the charger all night. We'll get it hooked up. Hopefully it works. So I really don't feel like pull starting this POS. So we'll see what happens. Alright, battery's in. Let's see what happens. Let's turn the fuel on. Shake it around, get some fuel down in there. Okay, we got fuel to the filter. Let's just see what happens. And there we have it, guys. Cheap $35 Amazon carburetor. She came right back to life. Well, all there's left to do is adjust the idle a little bit, put some more plastic clips in, and get the seat back on her. Alright guys, I thought about it, and I think I should at least show you, for those of you that don't know, how these little plastic clips work. Again, super cheap. Get them online. Literally, you line it up, you stick the base piece in, the hole, and then there's a little locking pin in it. See? Right there. Line up the tabs and zip it in, and it locks it in place. Super cheap, super easy. Buy a bunch of them. Alright guys, idle's adjusted. It's running pretty good for being, you know, cold and no choke hooked up because, I mean, let's face it, I live in Arizona. Real men don't use chokes. So here we go. Alright guys, so as you can hear, it's running. She's warmed up pretty good. I think we should take her for a test spin. What do you say? Can't go. So guys, I live in the city. We'll take her for a quick test spin around just the cul-de-sac. There'll be another episode later on when I take it out on a trail, and who knows, maybe do some camping. We'll see what the future holds. Alright, she runs good. So you guys are looking at this quad and you're thinking, man, that thing's seen better days. The plastics are all beaten up. She needs a lot of work. Well, honestly, not that bad. Truthfully, it has low hours of use. The story behind it is here at the house in my side yard, actually two of them. This one and then a four-wheel drive version. They belong to my brother-in-law. So they sat back there in the side yard for 3 years without him doing anything to them. And all I ever heard was they needed work and they didn't run. So I made a deal with them. After looking at them one afternoon, I was drinking a few beers and I was like, you know what? I bet I could get these things running pretty easily. They're very, very simple machines. So I talked to my brother-in-law and made up a deal. I was like, okay, I'll get both of them running. I'll get the parts and provide the labor. I'll put new tires on them, and for that you give me one of them. So that's what I did. And honestly, with as cheap as the parts are and how easy they are to work on, it's a good deal. And it's a fun toy to just go thrash around in. So, you know, not worth a lot of money. I don't care if I mess it up off-roading it, you know, on trails, crashing it into trees, whatever. You know, sometimes I get to do some pretty stupid things on them. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I know we didn't get into anything super sexy today, nothing with the Gran Torino or the 4x4 project or even that Mustang. There will be plenty of time for those projects and many more. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Bye.